That is what I'm saying. History, as it is taught now, is wrong. It's false. It's not true. You have to understand, during the Age of Exploration, Europe was only starting to develop. The Renaissance is only happening. It wasn't as mighty as it is now. Now, Europeans have conquered and occupied most of the lands in the world. They look back and they ask, what happened? How did we do it? But there was no record. There was no history. Nobody's writing down what happened from day to day. I don't know if you know, for hundreds of years, nobody knew who Christopher Columbus was. He is so famous now because historians need history and they need somebody to be in the history. And Christopher Columbus was resurrected. What we know of what he did and the others during the Age of Exploration are really legends that are taken at face value. Now, a lot of the blame has to be pointed in the way of the Chinese. They are not defending their own history. They accept what the Europeans are professing. They have forgotten about their own history. In fact, their own scholars, their own historians, their own experts fabricate history too. And if you just open your eyes, you will see it even in their history books. To begin with, my research reconfirms that the whole thing started with the Ming Dynasty's maritime program, the one headed by the eunuch Zheng He. In Chinese is known as the 7 Voyages of Zheng He. But who was Zheng He? Zheng He was supposed to be Emperor Chengzu's confidant. He was a military man. He fought with the emperor in Siberia, in the north of China, and he was supposed to be conscripted when he was a kid. And he was castrated to become a eunuch. Yet, this mighty military man is always portrayed as tall, stocky, perhaps even handsome, mighty. And I'm not talking about just hearsay. This is in semi-official history. If you read about how they describe Zheng He, you visualize Arnold Schwarzenegger. And yet this is supposed to be a person castrated. A person castrated when he is a child is not supposed to grow into a mighty, stocky man. His image has been made over. And here is a man who had never seen the ocean. He fought wars in the desert. He was born inside China, deep inside China. Why was he assigned the job of heading up a fleet to sail the oceans for almost 30 years? Didn't China have capable seafaring leaders? Why did the emperor assign him the job? You have to ask yourself these questions. Then, the history of the beginning of Ming Dynasty has been written in such patchwork fashion that none makes sense. And it is typical of how historians gloss over matters. They try to make things neat. For example, if you look at the history of Ming Chengzu, the person who fought a war with the emperor Chien and won. His events are listed in history books as one after the other, as if he did this, and then he did that, and then he did this. He started the maritime voyages in 1405. Then he relocated the capital from Nanjing to Beijing. Then he built temple complexes. But are these things all independent, unrelated? Where did the Mings get all their ships? Zheng He took over 200 ships into the ocean, starting in 1405. Where did he get all the ships? Did he buy them on Amazon or Taobao? No, they had to build them. Well, how did they know how to build these ships? Somebody just, boom, came up with a technology? No, China had seafaring technologies going all the way back. Song Dynasty, before the Yuan, who conquered China. Song Dynasty lost half the kingdom, lost the northern part of the kingdom. They were confined to the south, and they became mighty seafarers. They had trade overseas, and that's famous, is known, is written in the history books. And then, all of a sudden, the Ming Dynasty had to send Zheng He into the ocean to try to drum up commercial business. It doesn't make sense. But that's how the maritime program was described. Zheng He's mission was to spread the might of China, to tell the neighboring people how mighty China was, as if the Ming Chinese needed to do that. And not only that, he did it for 27 years. Obviously, these people didn't believe him. He had to keep coming. He was there to spread peace, messages of peace. He was there to spread religion, to tell people to love each other. And yet, he took almost 30,000 troops. He himself was a fighting man. He never saw water. So history, as it is written, cannot be trusted. Now we know the Mings took 3 years to build the ships. They had to build the shipyards. The ruins of the shipyards have been discovered. If Zheng He went to sea in 1405, when was the decision to go to sea made? It was made several years before, but Emperor Chengzu only became the emperor in 1402. So the decision was made immediately as he took the throne. Why? To spread religion? To promote commerce? No. The most important thing at that time was to locate the emperor that was defeated. The emperor disappeared. Now, there are all kinds of stories behind that. Some claim the emperor died. Some claimed he escaped. But that is not important to us. What is important is, what did Emperor Chengzu think? Well, it was not written down what he thought, but his actions told us what he thought. He sent ministers to look for the ex-emperor, and the ministers spent their entire lives looking for the ex-emperor. If Chengzu didn't think that the emperor escaped, why would he do that? Now, why would he, upon taking the throne, immediately decided to build these huge ships to go to sea? It's plain. He was looking for the ex-emperor. Zheng He went to sea to look for the ex-emperor. he spent 27 years looking for.